When it comes to lighting in video, it is so important that you have enough light. The camera settings in video are a little bit more limited than they are in photo, which is why you need to have so much light. You also don't have the ability to flash like you do with cameras. So in this room right now, you'll notice there's a lot of light. We're recording on video, and actually there's a ton of lights going on right now. Some that are meant for the 360, some are meant for just me. Now I see a lot of people on 360 use wand lighting. Now wand lighting looks really cool, and yes, it's easy to transport, but frankly, I don't think it does a good job because most wand lights aren't able to like put out the amount of light that you actually need. So this is one that I've seen versions of. This is an Astera AX1. These lights are amazing for a few different reasons. I mean, obviously they're super sleek. They come with this nice stand. They can go all around the photo booth, but you will notice that they're quite short. So first of all, they need to be really close to the subject to actually be able to give off light. I'm gonna turn this one on. I think it's actually set to a color right now. Yeah, it's bright pink. But also, if you're standing on a podium, you're lighting somebody's knees right now. You could lift this up, but you're still not going to be getting the same light. Like the range of light from this isn't very good. Also, when this is on full white, it has a maximum output of 28 watts. It's not very strong. This thing also runs $700 per tube. And while it does have 7 hours of battery life, these are actually meant to be more accents. So you can have colors like this. You can have patterns going around. They're meant to kind of add features to video, not light video. You need to have so many of these to properly light your subject on your 360 booth. So do not recommend these at all unless you are using them to create cool effects or a cool background. That's what they're really meant for. One of the other lights that I see a lot of people use are these Yuongo. I'm not sure how you even pronounce that. There's a couple of versions. This is an older one. The newer one has like a white casing around it. And these are wand lights. These are pretty bright. It's actually, this one's 21 watts, so it's actually dimmer than the Astera lights. And the 28 watts on the Astera light is actually a full bright white light. When you're using the RGB, it drops down quite a bit. It's not as bright anymore. So the Yuongo lights, similar thing. They do have white light and they have color temperature, meaning that you can make the light warmer or you can make it nice and blue light. But the problem with these ones too is that you lose brightness as you make the light pure white. So it's actually at full brightness when it's a yellow light, and then it loses brightness when you're at the pure white. So this one also does have RGB capability, so you can actually make things blue or red or whatever. But again, this should only be used if you're actually like creating a very stylized effect or adding some sort of depth or something to your background. So again, you would need to have a lot of these, and these are meant to be close proximity lights. These are not meant to be for far away. So these, while again are battery operated, this battery here, which is a double battery, only lasts about 45 minutes to an hour. So you would need to have a ton of these and switch them out regularly. So they do give off what I would say is subpar light. You could probably get away with it if you have a well-lit room, but in a dark room where most of our settings are, you're not gonna have good lighting with something like this. You're gonna have dark videos and graininess because you're gonna have to shoot at a high ISO. So what lights do we use? Well, you can see them all around me. These are newer 21-inch slim LED panels. I absolutely love these for a few reasons. One, they are super lightweight, but they're round, so they're aesthetically pleasing as well. They're different than those like rectangular LEDs. They also give off a bigger spectrum of light. So because of the size of them, they have like a nice wide spectrum of light that's gonna hit your subject. The LED panels that you can get are kind of small and square, and yes, they do still like reach out, but it's just not quite the same as I found with these ones. These are also 70 watts. They are super bright. And this is what makes me super happy, is when the lights are this bright. We use 4 of these normally in our setup. So these 2 here and the 2 that are behind you right now, those are normally how we would set up our 360 lighting. Because this is now evenly lighting people on the podium, regardless of where they are. So Jamie, if you want to follow me this way. We'll go all the way around and you'll see just how evenly lit every person on this podium is going to be, regardless of where they are on the video. So while you could get away with only doing 3 lights, which we have done, with the 3 light setup, you do end up having dark spots when you have 3 or 4 people on this podium, but not with 4. So we normally set them up as close as we can to our arm, so that we can get as much light on our subject. The other thing that this does too is that it creates a really nice hair light around your subject. So because there's always going to be a light behind them at some point, it just creates a lot of dimension in the person's face and hair and all that kind of stuff, instead of having a flat video. So these can be plugged into a wall or are battery operated. So they do have a variety of options for batteries. While they can take these camcorder batteries, and these are called NPF 960 batteries, you would need about 2 of these to go into the back of one of those lights. And again, it's only going to last about 45 minutes. So you need a ton of these. So we upgraded to these babies. Now, these are 270 watt V-mount batteries. Unfortunately, these will also run you about $600 per battery, but these last 4 to 5 hours. And it really just makes your setup a lot cleaner when you don't have all the cables running through it. So one thing you can definitely aspire to is getting these batteries for your lights, but if in the beginning, just plug them in. We plugged them in for years, but batteries are definitely something that's really, really nice. The other thing about these lights that I love is the color temperature. So when you're at a venue that maybe has really horrible yellow lighting and you're trying to figure out why you can't get your subjects to look good, or maybe your subject looks good but then the background looks super yellow, that's because your color temperatures of your background and what's happening here aren't the same. So here we have this beautiful white light, but in your surroundings, I'm going to turn on these yellow lights that we have here behind us. It might create a buzz too. But now if you can look on the wall, you'll see the light that's hitting the wall is yellow. So it's going to be really hard to white balance your subject and your background to look good. Either one of them two is going to look yellow. But if you have lights that have color temperature on them, you can have your lighting match. I'm going to turn this one super yellow. And now you can have it match your lighting in your room. By doing this, you can white balance your entire video to this yellow light, and everything is going to look super nice when you actually correct your white balance. Now I know this looks really bad right now. Do I look jaundiced? Yeah. But when I go to do my white balance settings on the GoPro, I can get rid of all of this. I can make all the background look the same color as the subject. And that's something that's really important with lighting once you start to get to those more advanced stages of your business. So I'm going to turn these back to white because no one likes to look yellow. All right, so what should you be looking for in an LED light? There's a couple of key factors. I am going to include links to all of these lights. And again, everything that I use here, you guys will have access to the exact link to the equipment that I like to use. But if you're looking for something else, maybe you don't like the look of these ones, that's fine. The main thing you want to focus on is that you're going to get LEDs. They have to be rated for video, because if they're not rated for video, you're going to get flickering. And you're going to see the flickering a lot of times in older venues that have incandescent light bulbs. And sometimes we actually ask people to turn off those lights so that we don't have that flickering. You'll also see it in those twinkle lights that you see at weddings. A lot of times those ones flicker because they refresh too slow and your camera is actually catching it. So video lights refresh really quickly so that they don't get caught in the video. So you want to make sure you're getting LEDs that are at least 70 watts, if not more. You never have too much light. I mean, you can, but let's be honest, no. You want to make sure that they are battery operated, or at least have the possibility to have batteries. And they need to be color temperature controlled. So meaning it should go from 4,000 to 5,600-ish so that you have pure white light and you can also get nice warm light. And then the last thing, if you do want to have those really cool color effects and you want to use that as your primary light, so let's say you want to make the whole video pink and you want to do that with lighting, make sure that you're getting RGB lights, that when you use the RGB, it's at the full output as well. Because the majority of LED lights, when you use RGB color, they actually drop to almost half the output. So those are the most important things that you want to do when you're looking for lighting for your 360 booth.